Hey everybody, my name's Alex. I'm a direct sales team lead here at Odoo Direct. The purpose of this video today is to walk you guys through the implementation methodology here at Odoo, otherwise known as our Quick Start methodology. A couple of goals. Firstly is going to be, of course, project success. We want to make sure that every single account that lands in our pipeline is launched successfully. We have a 98.8% success rate across the board for projects currently in our pipeline, and that is for customers that follow this methodology as we have presented it. Secondly, we are looking for fast delivery. I know you guys have probably heard this from every vendor you've ever talked to, but truthfully, that is a goal for us here. The reason being is Odoo is a subscription-based company. What that means is a majority of our revenue does not come from these services. What that means for you guys is you truthfully have the buy-in from our services department to get your project launched, one, successfully, two, as fast as possible, and then number three, we'll talk about it on the next slide, but making sure you guys are as self-sufficient as possible as well. Being as self-sufficient as possible leads into the third bullet, which is minimization of long-term costs. We want to make sure that once this project is done, you guys are able to essentially and effectively manage your business yourselves without the helping hand of Odoo, besides when it comes to things like upgrades, possible developments, or changes, etc. in the software. Going into what it's going to look like for your side, so that's what this slide is going over, is kind of the responsibilities of what we're looking for from you. So first and foremost is going to be using standard features. The good news is up until this point, you guys have been using standard features unless it's been specified elsewhere. And this does include things like Odoo Studio. So studio customizations, while it does require custom, do not fall outside of what we consider standard. The reason this is as you can assume, because it's standard features to Odoo, they're faster to implement, right? And secondly, it requires less long-term maintenance. It's how the software was built, it's how it's supposed to run, it's how it's supposed to be used. So for us, when we're updating and stuff like that, it's very easy to do. Secondly, we are going to ask someone on your side to be the project manager. So we are going to ask you to designate a project manager or a POC, point of contact. What this allows us to do is streamline communication and prioritize effectively, of course. And don't worry about it. We will loop in people as needed. Like if you have different departments or different people from different departments, we'll get them trained as well. But the big thing is this person's going to essentially become your internal resource or your internal Odoo expert. So in the early days, of course, you're not going to know where to click. You're not going to know where configurations are, what apps to use, right? And you'll be relying on us to be your Odoo expert. But as time progresses and your team adopts this software piece by piece, you guys will also become experts and you'll be very self-sufficient towards the end of this process. And last but not least, and we're going to show this on the next slide, and this goes hand in hand with adopting the system, is we're actually going to split your implementation into phases. Now, I'm going to pause myself because this kind of sounds against the industry norm, and that's because it absolutely is. We like to not follow what we know the rest of the industry as this lights-out approach, which essentially is, let's evaluate your requirements, let's demo it, yes, it looks good, we buy the software, and then we build this entire database out, right, and we hand it to you. Now you're in a database, your team's in a database, that's great. It probably is great, right? It has all the features that you want, but it hasn't been tested, so we're gonna run into errors, we're gonna run into things we don't like. And to put it quite simply, we don't know how to use it. So splitting into phases gives us, number one, it actually is faster because you're adopting it as it's being done. And second, it simplifies change management. So what I'm going to talk about next is what one of these phases look like. So this is what I would consider and what we call the MVP, or the minimum viable product. What's going to happen first, and essentially happening probably right now if you're a customer of ours already and you just signed, is internally there's actually going to be two kickoffs here. So there's going to be two of these. The first kickoff is going to be with your account executive that you're working with right now and the BSA that you're going to be working with for the entirety of this project. The reason that we do this kickoff internally first is because obviously we think in Odoo. We understand Odoo on a higher level, and we want to kind of align what this project is going to entail, who we're working with, what everyone does, and what this company is about. Once that's kind of in sync, your BSA and your account executive are going to reach out to you. It depends on who, it varies, but they're going to reach out to you for your kickoff now, right? That will be with the BSA to kind of align with what was discussed with your account executive. Now with you guys to kind of clarify, make sure we're good, and kind of get things in line for this big process and this awesome implementation. Then from there, obviously we're going to lead into some preparation, and then we can look at what one of these phases look like. Now, when I said MVP earlier, what that means is basically the minimum product that you guys need to get into the software ASAP, right? So for example, if you're a sales organization like we are, right, or at least like I am, I use the CRM, the sales, the subscriptions app. So to me, if I needed to buy the software for myself, those would be the things I need right now. That would be my MVP. Even if I need accounting and manufacturing and inventory and website later down the road, I'm going to start with those 3 apps. To break down this phase, it's going to be number 1, analyzing all of the requirements, what you guys want, everything like that, right? Then we're going to go into designing it and configuring it, making sure all the configurations work, the flows that you were demoed are actually being accomplished in the database. But then, last but not least, we are going to let you test it. And truthfully, we want you to try and break the system. We want you to kind of abuse the database. Because if you do that now and you use it like you guys are planning to in real time for your real business, you'll find these issues before they happen and your company's relying on it. So we want you to test it and find what's wrong. That way we can fix them, and by the time you're ready to fully go live, we are good to go. After all of that is said and done, of course, we'll get your users into the system, start training them on it, so there is end user training included in your implementation. And then last but not least, we'll import the data to actually fill this phase out. From there, as long as everything's good, we would launch what we would call phase 1, or the MVP of the project. Now, this is just a broader spectrum of like an entire implementation. You can pay attention here, right? This is what we just looked at. There can be as many of these phases as possible. Just for the slide deck, we have 2. We're going to imagine it's a pretty easy project. The point of this, though, is you have an MVP. You have your next phase, like maybe accounting and inventory, and then manufacturing, right? Piece by piece by piece by piece, we're going to build it. You guys are going to adopt it. We're going to train you. You guys are going to adopt it. By the end of it, we have a really well-built, tested, tried and true database that your company is going to run off of. You might realize, though, why would we have this go live here and then another phase afterward? So the truth of the matter is we actually overquote you on hours on purpose. Now, this might sound absolutely crazy coming from a direct sales team lead at Odoo, but the truth of the matter is we want you guys to still be able to have some hours left over to reach out to us, because you guys came to us needing something for your business. You had direct needs, but you've never experienced software like this before that's truthfully scalable, and you can open up the doors to so many other facets of your business. So you might start with 10, 12 apps. Well, guess what? We have over 80. So if you want to explore some of those other apps and implement them towards your business, you still have access to your dedicated resource or BSA after your official go live, and we can still help you from there. After that, though, once we're good, we're fully live, we're ready to go, and we're good. What this slide is essentially showing, or what this visual is showing, is essentially the old way versus how we do it, right? So how other companies are doing it and how we're doing it. The old way is basically, right, just being thrown into an F1 car, right? There is not a chance in the world that I could win an F1 race right now if you just threw me into that beautiful car, right? The way we're doing it is the polar opposite. We want you to start with something that's handleable, right? So let's imagine a scooter. We start you on the scooter, you get really good at it, you master it, then we can move you up to the bike, then the motorcycle, then the car. And essentially, it's everything that I've been explaining through the entire slide deck, is you're adopting the system as it's being built. You're going to be in the system as it's being built, adopting it piece by piece, rather than this entire software just being thrown in your face. And it's working really effectively as we speak. Now, of course, this implementation is super in depth. We've already talked a lot about a lot of things. And one thing we haven't covered is what our side's going to do, right? What are you paying for? And what is this BSA that's been assigned to you doing? So you might call them an implementation consultant. Here we call them a BSA, or a business systems analyst. But their job in their entirety is a project and change management expert. Their entire job is to make sure that this project is launched successfully, you guys adopt the software effectively, and you're able to run your business for as long as you need on our software. So the first thing that I want to mention is they will become your primary contact during implementation. Well, there's a slide later on explaining the different levels of support you'll have, but for implementation, this is your resource. They are an implementation expert, and they're going to do things like analyze business requirements, advise on project organization, best practices, etc., right? You see in parentheses there, it says they might ask questions like why. Another part of this is our software is extremely robust, and it's optimized to help businesses run effectively. So they are going to ask questions like why? Why are you doing something this way? Can you explain it to me? Is this the best way we could effectively do it inside your company? And if it's not, we'll see if we can make it perform better. Outside of that, we just in terms of Other things that they do is they're a functional expert, they're your solutions architect, they're there for data importation, configuration of the database, training your end users, coaching, like I was talking about before with best practices, and then of course support. The big part of this thing though is training your single point of contact, your project manager on your side, and all of your end users ASAP to get you guys adopted in the system and as self-sufficient as possible, as fast as possible. So this is what I was talking about when you have multiple levels of support, because it is not just a BSA and your account executive, and there's really a lot of moving parts to this. You are essentially getting a team of effective experts in Odoo. So first, of course, you've spent a lot of time on demos, meetings, phone calls with your account manager. Now that you are a customer of ours, or if you're not and you're watching this, once you become a customer, their role changes a little bit from a salesperson to an account manager, right? So you're going to have the same person. We don't change that on purpose because we don't want to kind of disrupt the cycle that we've had in the relationship you've built. We want to keep that rapport going, but they will change to being more for questions about billing, payments, contract, adding users, etc. What we just talked about in this entire slide deck is actually the second number one, which is an implementation consultant. So everything we've talked about today, the phases, the build out, the training for your users, etc., functional expert, solutions architect, training and adoption. What you might not know about is you also have access to free functional support for the entirety of your contract. As long as you're a customer of ours, you have it. This varies a little bit from implementation, right? And the reaching out to your implementation consultant, because all of the work that your implementation consultant does is build against your time based on the packs of hours you bought. So the questions that you ask between an implementation consultant and a functional support specialist are very different. Implementation is, this is in my database, I need help learning about a configuration, etc. Functional support is more so bugs, right? Something in the software isn't working how it's supposed to be. Something needs to be changed in my software to make that work that way. And a really good analogy is an implementation consultant is this. I am looking for C, right? C is what I'm looking for. What do I need to do to get there? So what is A, B? Functional support is the polar opposite. It's, I've tried A and B, how do I get to C, if that makes sense? And then last but not least, we have developers. So of course, we wouldn't be a big software company without these people. They've built this software from the ground up, line by line of code. So for you guys, if you ever do want to go outside of the box of Odoo and change how the software works natively, we do have developers on staff. Their time is the same as the implementation consultant. It's billed against the pack of hours, but just so you know, you do have access to that if needed. Other than that, obviously this isn't in person or on a meeting, so I can't really ask for questions. But if you do have questions, please point them towards your account executive for anything you guys have. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Thank you for being a customer of ours.